As we've all been watching, the Biden administration has illustrated a foreign policy that has done nothing but to infuriate so many countries around the world. And then he goes and does something directly against China that will set them off maybe once and for all. A huge military buildup, and there will be a reaction. China has already warned of it. Now, I'm not saying anyone should stand down against China. Absolutely not. But this administration has shown no propensity nor ability to execute a foreign strategy that has resulted in anything good for the great Republic of the United States of America. And what I'm about to cover for you will go to expose that even further. Now, before I get there, if you haven't subscribed to Lisa's channel, make sure you take just a few seconds to do that. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, also take a few seconds to do that. She'll put a link just above. Can't tell you how much that means to us. If you haven't gotten to Restricted Republic yet, please get there today. Again, discount code 48. That's right, 48 at annual checkout. We'll get you $4 a month for 12 months. We do everything here with no commercials and no interruptions, published on Restricted Republic. We're trading on a new community page. It's amazing to see what actual discussion sounds like on top of all the exclusive content. Again, restrictedrepublic.com. Discount code 48 at annual checkout. We'll get you $4 a month plus 14 days for free. But now let's get back into this broadcast, because what's happening and what has Taiwan in the crosshairs? Well, it's something that has been warned about for some time. There's been a buildup for some time. What's setting this off? Nobody knows, but it comes in conjunction with China warning McCarthy not to meet Taiwan's president in the U.S. Again, love what McCarthy stated. He says, nobody's going to tell me what to do. China is not going to boss us around, and rightfully so. But that doesn't mean they're not issuing warnings. This on April 4th. China has warned House Speaker Kevin McCarthy not to repeat disastrous past mistakes, probably referring to the visit by Nancy Pelosi amongst a plethora of other items. China vows strong measures after McCarthy met with the president of Taiwan, but that is just the tip of the iceberg of what's happening. China immediately thereafter, we will take resolute measures to punish the Taiwan independence, but that doesn't stop the Biden administration. And one day later, how do we respond? Now, I'm going to show you some of these plans were in place for some time, but this is now being called the biggest ever military exercise between the U.S. and Philippines. But there is so much more to this story, and it all goes down to what was agreed to. U.S.-Philippines agreed to larger American military presence, but it's not only the larger military presence, it's where that larger military presence is at. They're returning to the Philippines U.S. forces to counter China's threat. Manila-based political science Andrea Wong said the location of the Philippine camps would give the U.S. military the presence it would need to be a strong deterrent. Now, one has nothing to do with the other. The military buildup, the exercises are calling it, has nothing to do with this new agreement. 4 new locations for the U.S. military in the Philippines. It would need to be a strong deterrent against Chinese aggression in the South China Sea, as well as a potential Chinese invasion of Taiwan. Now we get closer to the truth. In this long, seething territorial conflict, the president of the Philippines, has filed at least 77 of more than the 200 diplomatic protests against China. So you can tell why China's a little bit upset that the U.S. is moving in. That would be an understatement. And why are they upset? Because of 4 new camps for our forces in the Philippines, and they're very strategically set. Biden's making a big maneuver here. The new sites identified by Marcos' office include a Philippine Navy base in Santa Ana Town and an international airport in Lalo Town. That's just a few. And there's a reason for those locations. The 2 north locations have infuriated China officials because it would provide U.S. forces with a staging ground close to southern China, South China, and Taiwan. But it all comes down to these 4 new camps and where they put them. Very strategically placed. The new sites identified by Marcos' office include a Philippine Navy base in Santa Ana Town and an international airport in Lalo Town. Those 2 locations infuriated the Chinese. And why? Because it will provide U.S. forces with a staging ground close to southern China and Taiwan. And that is one of the keys we have to focus on. But there's 2 more. In the province of Palawan, And those two sites face the South China Sea. We've heard story after story. A key passage for global trade that Beijing claims virtually in its entirety. Well, now the U.S. are going to be able to look right over it, and they'll be able to stage armament all along it. Imagine what this is and how this will infuriate China, who's taken aggressive actions recently. We've covered so many of them. And so China goes crazy. They hold a closed-door meeting in Manila with their Philippine counterparts. Opposition, of course, opposed to the expanded U.S. military presence in the Philippines and warned of its repercussions to regional peace and stability. I'm sure that was a very dire warning, one the Philippines had to field. The Chinese embassy separately warned in a recent statement that it will drag the Philippines into the abyss of geopolitical strife. Will Xi Jinping sit back and roll over and take this military advancement by the U.S., the military advancement to 4 new bases that gives the U.S. strategic benefit, more strategic than most will cover? Roughly 12,000 U.S. troops, 5,400 Philippine personnel, and over 100 Australian military members. That means little in the face of the largest standing army, which would be that of China. There's something more to this, far surpassing the 9,000 in the previous event. More than 12,000 U.S. troops from all 4 branches of the U.S. military. And again, that warning that you're endangering regional peace. But those sites that some would call a gamble, this always hasn't panned out for us. But if we go into this, it comes down to the strategic location against vectors of attack against Taiwan. And this is what will infuriate China worst of all. In the event of a potential attack, whether primary or secondary, operating from a southern vector, Northern Luzon is potentially within land-based anti-ship missile range. The investment by the U.S. is adding runways and other infrastructure is a noteworthy value add despite the political risks involved in utilizing hard currency for this purpose. The access to air bases, although they may be rather rough and ready, would certainly set a dispersal objective for the U.S. if they need to disperse their assets from vulnerable bases in Japan and or South Korea in a hurry. They will have a place to move those assets, monitor the South China Sea, and also defend an attack against Taiwan. This was all done by the Biden administration. In the face of them, and there's the Philippines, and just so you can get this all into perspective, you see here Taiwan, and you see above it China, and now 4 new bases sitting in the Philippines. Man, I don't know how you say anything other than it's happening. We're reinforcing. Of course, it's all under the shroud of a military exercise, but we know better than that. We know the moving pieces, and we can only hope and pray this doesn't blow into something far worse. But based on China's warnings and based on their recent actions, there will be a reaction, and we will be here to cover it for you. Now, before I close, if you haven't gone to Lisa Haven Gold, and she is gold, isn't she? .com, I need you to go there today. Again, that's Lisa Haven Gold. Her sponsor, NobleGoldInvestments.com. And right now, with every qualified account, get this huge 5-ounce silver coin. Now, of course, there's no guarantees, but to learn more, go into the More section, click on, again, LisaHavenGold.com. Go visit Noble Gold, an amazing sponsor, amazing company. And until next time, I love you all. Godspeed and God bless. Justice Knight, signing out.